Even though we're social beings, there are times when all we really want is peace and quiet. And for some people, that wish comes true when they take a load from one side of the country to the other, even if it means diving into empty, isolated roads, often marked by dark stories. Stories that could make even the bravest trucker question their destination. The road can be a refuge, a rare moment of silence, of peaceful solitude. But today, you'll see that being alone isn't always a good thing. What do you do when evil comes after you? What do you do when something or someone hitches a ride without your permission? In today's video, we're going to hear 3 chilling stories. Accounts from drivers who thought they were losing their minds, but deep down, they were facing something much worse than that. Put your headphones on, turn off the lights, and come drive with us down the mysterious roads of Brazil. Creepy Brazil. The world needs to know.
My name is Edson, and I've been a truck driver since I started my professional life many years ago. I've been on every kind of road in this country, but there's one route I never took again, and never will. This happened in 2016, when I was transporting a load of wood from Rondônia to Mato Grosso. It was a muggy night, no moon in the sky, just the truck's headlights illuminating the pothole-ridden asphalt of BR 364. I had been driving for hours, already tired, when I saw a man on the side of the road, waving. I stopped a few meters later and looked in the rearview mirror. He was still there, standing in the same spot. Tall, thin, wearing a wrinkled black suit. I found it odd. Who the hell wears a suit on a road like that, in the middle of the night? Even so, I reversed and rolled down the window. "Need a ride, boss?" But he remained silent, just facing forward without moving a muscle. "I'm talking to you. Are you okay? Can you understand me?" I said in a firmer, ruder tone. I regret saying that to this day. He slowly turned around, and I almost threw up from the fear. His face had no eyes, just deep black holes, as if someone had gouged them out. My body froze. A rotten smell filled the cabin, like spoiled meat. My eyes watered, and I started to choke. Blowflies began buzzing around him, as he smiled a sinister, horrifying smile. His teeth were broken, and all blackened and worn, as if he'd been chewing on stones his whole life. "Don't wait any longer." I shifted into gear and accelerated like never before. The truck shook on the road. My breath was ragged, sweat dripping down my forehead. The radio that had been playing country music was now just static. I decided to stop at the first gas station I saw. 15 minutes later, I spotted one well lit. I parked the truck, got out, washed my face, and waited for my heart to stop pounding. I went to the coffee machine and grabbed a black coffee. I sat by the window, watching trucks and cars pass by as I tried to make sense of what had happened. None of it made sense. After countless sighs, my heart calmed down, and the adrenaline returned to normal. A heavy sleepiness fell over me. I looked at the clock, and it was already very late. Time to sleep. The next day, I needed to be on the road early again. Since I like winter, I turned the air conditioning to the coldest setting, put on rain sounds on my phone to feel like it was a chilly winter night, and I believe I didn't take long to fall asleep. I remember the dream perfectly. I was arriving home. My 3-year-old daughter was waving at me at the gate. It was a sunny day, though cold, and the sky was clear as usual. I remember that as I parked the truck in front of my house, I got out holding onto the truck's handrail, and as I did that, I turned my back to my daughter. When I placed my foot on the ground, I felt a horrible sensation, and and that smell of rotten meat and the buzzing of flies returned. The urge to vomit also came back, and besides that, I heard a low moan, as if someone was suffering. I slowly turned around, expecting to see the man from the road, but what I saw was much worse. Now my 3-year-old daughter had no eyes. Only the same black voids were in place of her beautiful little eyes. Her face was rounder, as if swollen, and a light grayish tone, almost white, had taken over her entire body. Before, she had been wearing jeans and a winter jacket. Now she was wearing a torn and faded red outfit with the number 7 drawn very large on the front. Behind her, where my house had been, there was now only a place with tree stumps and scorched grass from possible fire. The tree stumps were still smoldering, and a strange creature with its entire body burned was crawling and moaning behind her. The moan came from that thing, which I have no idea what it was, but it sounded like a human moan. I was facing the most terrifying scene I could witness in a dream. The soot from the fire fell on my body. In a matter of seconds, I was in the middle of a pile of soot and ashes, unable to move, almost suffocating. I felt my heart and breathing accelerate, as I was overwhelmed by a sense of death before I gave my last breath and tried to scream. That thing that, for a few moments, resembled my daughter said in a hoarse voice, "You're carrying my bones." I woke up screaming and sweating a lot, even with the air conditioning on. I was tangled in the blanket, unable to move, thinking I was still surrounded by soot. I screamed and struggled to free myself. I freed myself and left the cabin as fast as I could, caught my breath, and an overwhelming urge to check my load took over me. I knew it was wood, but what if there was something else in there? Illegal things happen all the time in this business. I went straight to the gas station attendant, an old man with a faded cap and a tired face. He frowned but followed me to the truck bed. I grabbed a flashlight, climbed up the side of the bed, and started checking. It was just wood, until I found a black tarp at the bottom. I pulled it hard, and my world collapsed. Coffins. 4 dark wooden coffins, right in the middle of the load. My vision blurred. I jumped down, looked at the attendant, and asked, trembling, "What the hell is this?" He turned pale immediately. "Sir, this wood, where did it come from?" I didn't know. I only knew what the transporter had told me. But then he whispered something that chilled me to the bone. If it came from the stretch, I'm thinking. I threw the truck keys into his hand, put my hand in my pocket, and as I grabbed my phone, I called the Federal Highway Police. After the Federals arrived and examined the load, I was taken to the police station. There, they asked me numerous questions. Among them, the one that caught my attention the most was whether I was involved in any satanic cult. I answered no, that I was raised in the Christian faith, and that I was a Protestant Christian, even though I hadn't been to church in years. After hours and an extensive interrogation, and the transport company's owner arriving and clarifying that I really had nothing to do with all that, I was released. Never drive on that road again. And I never accepted to transport something without knowing what it was, and, even less, from the people who hired me.
I never really believed in those stories that truck drivers tell. I always thought they were just tales to pass the time or tricks of the mind. Honestly, I think everyone thinks that. I'm telling this because, no matter how hard I try to forget, I can't get what I saw on that road out of my head. It was around 1:40 in the morning, that damn time when sleep hits hard, and no matter how hard we try to stay focused, the risk is always greater. The stretch was completely deserted, with no headlights ahead or behind me. Just me, the dark asphalt, and the sound of the engine cutting through the night. It It was just me and the road. I was driving alone on the BR 153 in a remote stretch between Goiás and Tocantins. The radio was off, the fatigue kicking in, but I still had a bit to go before reaching a gas station where I planned to stop. This part of the route has no lights. Any light, no matter how faint, can be seen from afar, and that's exactly what happened. The gas station was about 3 minutes away. I could almost see it in the distance. That's when I saw the first cone in the middle of the road. An orange warning cone, flashing like the ones used in accidents or road work. But there was nothing. No broken cars, no detour signs, no one around. I slowed down, turned on my hazard lights, and paid extra attention. I passed by slowly, feeling uneasy. A few more meters and another cone appeared. Then another. And another. A trail of flashing lights leading straight into the darkness. I glanced in the rearview mirror and felt a strange chill. The last cone, the one I should have passed already, was still there, flashing. I kept going, trying to ignore the bad feeling. That's when I saw her, standing on the side of the road. She was wearing a long white nightgown, and her dark hair covered part of her face. She didn't raise her hand for a ride, didn't move, just stood there, staring at me as I drove past. I sped up, feeling my chest tighten. But when I passed another cone, she was there again. This time a little closer to the road. My heart raced. It was impossible. I hadn't seen any cars, motorcycles, nothing. How could she be there again? I kept going. But every time a new cone appeared, she was there, a little closer to the asphalt, a little clearer. Until, just a few meters from the next cone, she appeared right in the middle of the road. I didn't have time to brake. I gripped the wheel and swerved just in time, narrowly avoiding her. The truck swayed, almost going off the road. I checked the rearview mirror, and she wasn't there anymore. For a few seconds, the only sounds were my heavy breathing, the crickets, and the strong smell of burnt rubber. I thought I saw something pass by the passenger seat, but there was no movement. In the mirrors, all I could see was darkness. Even the cones had disappeared. An overwhelming fear took over me. I remembered all the stories my fellow drivers had told, including the one about the woman in white on the road. I vaguely remembered. A long time ago, a woman had escaped from a sanatorium and spent weeks in the woods, no one being able to find her. At night, drivers who stopped to relieve themselves or do something in the truck would hear her schizophrenic screams from the woods, trying to mimic an animal or something like that. Some even saw her briefly on the side of the road. This led nurses and police to surround the area and try to catch her. One night, when they were about to take her back, she broke free from the officers and ran into the middle of the road. Well, the rest you can imagine. After catching my breath, I started the truck and drove at high speed. I didn't stop until the morning. I only stopped when I saw movement, real people, cars passing by. Since that day, I've never driven through that stretch at night. I always try to take the route while there's still daylight. And when I know I'll pass by there and the sun is still strong, I always leave a flower at that exact spot, as if trying to bring some relief to that soul that's been suffering for all these years. But to this day, whenever I see a warning cone on the road, I feel that same strange sensation again.
My name is Rogerio. I've been a truck driver for 5 years, and I've seen it all out there on the road. Robberies, breakdowns in the middle of nowhere, floods. But nothing ever hit me like what happened that night on BR 319, heading from Porto Velho to Manaus. It was 2:40 in the morning, and I'd been driving for over 5 hours. That stretch of road is known for being isolated and dangerous. Not just because of the potholes or lack of shoulders, but also because part of it runs right along a huge cliff, the site of many accidents over the years. And yeah, people tell creepy stories, ghosts, sightings, weird stuff. I never paid much attention to that kind of thing, but that night, something felt off. The darkness felt heavier than usual, and the road was way too quiet. Anyone who drives at night knows there's always some kind of noise. An animal rustling in the bushes, the wind, something. But that night, nothing. Then the headlights started acting up, flickering like high beams, then cutting out and coming back. It didn't last long, just enough to make me nervous. If a truck had been coming the other way, I probably wouldn't be here telling this story. A few minutes after the light stabilized, my phone rang. But when I answered, there was no voice, just this dry, static-like noise, like someone was trying to speak but couldn't. I tried to make out what they were saying, but it was all jumbled, until I heard something that made my skin crawl. "Stop the truck." My hands started shaking on the wheel. I thought it might be someone from the company, tracking the truck, maybe thinking I'd taken a wrong turn or something. I had stopped earlier for a quick break, so who knows? That's when I remembered my phone was dead. Battery had run out about 20 minutes earlier. I never plugged it back in. I looked down at the dashboard. The digital clock was blinking nonsense. 23 hours, 71 minutes. 17 hours, 94 minutes, midnight. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something in the rearview mirror. A shadow. Still, sitting in the back seat. I stopped breathing. That wasn't possible. I was alone in the truck. I turned to look, nothing. The seat was empty. I forced myself to focus on the road. Probably just fatigue. My mind playing tricks. Then, 3 sharp taps. On the passenger side window, the truck was moving. I was doing 80 kilometers per hour. I felt my blood freeze. My hands were locked onto the steering wheel, heart racing. I tried to ignore it, kept driving, but then again, the shadow was back, more visible this time. The road felt endless. The darkness looked like it was swallowing everything around me. Then, way ahead, I saw a light, just a single lamppost, holding up a weak, flickering light. Relief washed over me, but only for a second. As I got closer, I realized the place was completely deserted. A tiny roadside bar with flickering neon lights. No cars, no bikes, no movement. Still, I pulled over. I needed to get out of that truck, even if just for a minute. But when I reached for the door handle, the shadow spoke. "Don't get out." The voice came from inside the cab. The rearview mirror was completely dark, like a black mass had swallowed everything behind me. My whole body locked up. My chest hurt from how hard my heart was pounding. I turned to the window and saw the reflection. It was floating behind me, a shapeless black mist, like torn fabric flapping in the wind. And worst of all, it was smiling. I don't know how or why, but I found the strength to listen. I didn't get out. I hit the gas and took off without looking back. I drove until the first light of dawn peeked over the horizon, until I felt that thing wasn't with me anymore. Since that day, I don't drive through the night anymore. I always find a safe place to sleep before dark.
Thank you very much for being with me as you listen to these frightening stories that no one is exempt from. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Although this channel talks about cases that occurred in Brazil, if you also want to hear your story here, send your story to the email that is in the channel description.